Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Tuesday. It's going up for the next 3 hours here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. However, wherever, whenever you are tuning into the program today, thanks so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. It's just me today. Sorry if that disappoints you. Spencer Dupuis, Brendan Dworzinski, both off today. So it's a solo mission. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you for the next 3 hours. Going to talk plenty of baseball on this first Royals off day of the season. Royals are 1-0 at home in 2026 after a brisk 3-1 victory over the Minnesota Twins in the home opener yesterday afternoon. I did not expect to be home by 7:30. I did not expect to be done with postgame, clear the parking lots, and boy, it was some kind of mess at the Truman Sports Complex yesterday. Getting out of that place, holy cow! It's a miracle there wasn't an accident. At least not one that I saw. I did not expect to be back in my Topeka home by 7:30, given a 3:10 first pitch, but. That's how it went down. A briskly played affair for the first of 81 at the K this year, and the Royals take it 3-1. 6 strong innings from Kris Bubic, home runs from the noted power sources Kyle Isbel and Isaac Collins. And the Royals, after starting 0-2, have leveled things up. They're 2-2 on the campaign. Have some thoughts on the opening day victory. We'll hear from Kris Bubic a little later on. Pulled a couple of clips from his post-game interview. Don't typically get a baseball player, at the podium after a game solo for close to 12 minutes. But that's how long Kris Bubic went yesterday. And that was not because the core of media folks had a million questions. Kris Bubic is just a really thoughtful guy. Like, if you didn't know anything about him and you heard him speak and you heard him, discuss his craft and talk through his game and his thoughts, and afterwards you were told, hey, yeah, that guy went to Stanford, you'd say, oh, yeah, that makes sense. That sounds like a Stanford-educated gentleman right there. So a couple of clips from Kris Bubic we'll get to you later in the show. Obviously, he was a big part of yesterday's story. And the starting pitching rotation is a big part of the early season story for the Royals. We used to do a segment. I guess we didn't do it. Our old pals, Fulton Castor and Jake LeBon, on the dearly departed Mic'd Up, used to do a segment called Overreaction, Proper Reaction. We're going to bring that back because now we are a whole 2.4% through the Royals season. 4 games out of 162. Not even a full 2.5%. We're at 2.4% of the season complete. What are we seeing? What do we like? What do we don't? What don't we like? What do we don't? What don't we like? You take one day off of doing the show and you forget proper English. Not that I ever had a great grasp on it anyway. But we'll talk a little bit about what we've seen through the first 4 games for the Kansas City Royals. So plenty of baseball talk on the show today. Excited about that. We'll get to some football. Andy Reid spoke to media earlier today. Clark Hunt spoke to the media yesterday. It's the owners' meetings this week. There are some rule changes that have been codified by the NFL Owners Competition Committee today. The most notable ones are in place to make sure that the replacement refs that it sure seems like we're going to start the 2026 season with don't embarrass the league the way the last time we had replacement refs embarrass the league. Shout out to the Fail Mary. Touchdown Seahawks. One of my favorite games ever. They got the call right. Simultaneous possession. That was a Seahawks touchdown. Just because they signaled it wrong and took 20 minutes to review it doesn't mean they got the call wrong. Anyway, so we'll get into some football notes. We've got some of that to get to today. We got 2 guests joining us on the program today. Our usual Tuesday guest is Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. He'll join us at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. A lot of rumor, a lot of innuendo swirling around Kansas basketball in the last week, but we'll ask Michael, is no news any news at all, at least as it pertains to Bill Self's future? Where does KU stand with Tyron Stokes? And, oh yeah, Michael Swain got to watch KU spring football practice today. We'll get some impressions from him on what he's seeing in the early days of spring football camp. Plenty to talk about with Michael coming up at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. At the bottom of the 3 o'clock hour, we're going to be joined by Shelia Sickau. She is the Senior Marketing Manager of Football Development for the Kansas City Chiefs. And she's coming on the show today to tell us about the Chiefs' involvement in KSHSAA, Kansas High School Activities Association, and the possibility that KSHSAA next month at their board of directors meeting could sanction girls flag football as a KSHSAA championship sport. It is on the table. It is up for discussion at next month of April's board of directors meeting for KSHSAA. And the Chiefs have been at the forefront of the growth of flag football in greater Kansas City into the state of Kansas. And they've been a part of the pilot program that has seen up to 29 Kansas high schools start girls flag football programs over the last 2 years. So we're going to talk to Shelia about why the Chiefs have become so involved with the promotion of flag football, particularly girls high school flag football, where their involvement with KSHSAA has sort of germinated from, and what the long-term vision is for the involvement of the NFL with the growth of flag football, not just potentially as a sport for kids, young kids, not just as a sport for girls, but as something that goes maybe to the high school ranks, maybe the college ranks, maybe to the professional ranks. Because if you did not see it, and I do not blame you if you did not, the Fanatics Flag Football Challenge was in Los Angeles over the weekend. And if there was anything to take away from watching current and former NFL stars lose to the United States national flag football team, it is that flag football, while it shares a name, is a very different sport than American tackle football, requiring a very different skill set. So is there a possibility for even broader growth of flag football as a high school sport, as a college sport, as a professional sport in America moving forward with the involvement of existing professional American tackle football teams? A lot to get to, I think, with Shelia Sickau. She'll join us at the bottom of this hour. Really interested in having that conversation with her. Of course, we'll also have our typical Tuesday shenanigans on the show. We got our 580 Sports Talk headlines, as I mentioned. We'll crown a March champion on What Is Wrong With You. We're down to our final two stories. In one corner, it's Keep the Change. In the other corner, it's the urinator in the incinerator. Great name. Shout out to Mark B in the YouTube live chat, coming up with a good name for that story. And we got a whole lot more. Plus, your interaction with the program as well. You are invited and encouraged to make this program yours and interact with the show today. Send me a text, 785-272-9429. 785-272-9429 is the number. One more time, 785-272-9429. You can also interact with the show if you are watching on our YouTube feed today. The name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. Why don't you go subscribe to that YouTube channel if you have yet to do so? Go slam that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything but a click. And if you are in the YouTube live chat today, say hello. If you're watching on YouTube, jump in that live chat window, say hello, interact with yours truly, interact with your fellow listeners as well. See Vance and Mark H. First one's in as per usual. Paul, our friend from Overbrook, is in today. Ryan and Christopher also into the show as well. Appreciate seeing you guys early on. Look forward to hearing more from you as we go along on today's program. But we began with some baseball. I keep it all the way real with you. We ended up giving you a little bonus sports map radio after the Royals game yesterday. We didn't think they were going to be done at 5:45. I was in the bowels of Kauffman Stadium. I was listening to Matt Quatraro and Kyle Isbel and Kris Bubic. So we let the bird fly for that final 15 minutes of that hour after the Royals made short work of the Twins yesterday in their home opener, 3-1 in front of a sellout crowd of over 39,000 at Kauffman Stadium. And as we all expect from the Kansas City Royals, that thunder from the bottom of the order guiding the way to a victory. Kyle Isbel's 2-run home run in the second inning, giving the Royals the lead. And Isaac Collins' first hit as a Royal, a solo shot in the seventh, expanding the advantage. Kris Bubic was the story on the mound. 6 innings, a run on 2 hits, walked 3, struck out 4. And Bubic did not have his best stuff yesterday. My source on that claim is Kris Bubic. He would be the first one to tell you that he was not exactly his sharpest yesterday. But he grinded his way through 6 strong innings against a right-handed heavy lineup. They had a bunch of switch hitters towards the bottom of their order, but the some impact. Guys like Josh Bell's a switch hitter. Victor Caratini's a switch hitter. Brooks Lee, the shortstop, the batted 9th, he's a switch hitter. So the net effect, there's 8 right-handed bats out of 9 that Kris Bubic is seeing. And when you're a left-hander and you don't have your best stuff and you don't have a platoon advantage against the lineup, that could be a recipe oftentimes for a long day. And Kris Bubic just wouldn't let it be. He gritted his teeth and grinded his way through 6 strong innings. And this was a point we hammered on 2 years ago when the Royals made the playoffs. And last year was a little different because of the injuries that the Royals went through and the struggles that guys like Seth Lugo went through at times last year. But you really can't stress the importance of this enough when you're talking about a major league team. When you've got a 5-man rotation that you are dead solid confident in, when you got guys every time out, you're handing the ball to somebody, you show up and you read the lineup card, and that name in the 10 slot now, because, pitchers don't hit anymore in either league, that starting pitcher spot, that name is a guy you fully believe is going to give you at least 6 quality innings every single time out. I know you old timers out there, and you guys certainly know that I've got a bit of an old school mentality when it comes to baseball. I wish 6 innings weren't the standard for a starting pitcher, but the game is the game. The game now is the game now. But when you have that in your rotation, that's how you build a winning streak. It's also, which is just as important for the 162 game grind, it's how you avoid a long losing streak. It's how you keep 2-3 game losing streaks from becoming 4, 5, 6 game skids that can torpedo a season or torpedo a month. It's how you keep a series where you lose the first 2 games from becoming a sweep, because the next day's starting pitcher is going to give you a chance to win. And when you're avoiding long losing streaks and you're building winning streaks, when your pitchers are passing the baton from one down to the next, that's how you build a winning season. That's how the Royals were able to build a winning record last year, even though it was only just a winning record, 82-80. With all the difficulties they had and all the struggles on offense, particularly in the first half of the year, the Royals played winning baseball last year, over 162 games, because they were able to maintain that in their rotation enough. And they start the year this year with 5 guys that every one of those players in the clubhouse walks in and looks at the lineup card and feels like, oh yeah, we got a shot to win today. You can quibble with how Matt Quatraro ordered the rotation to start the year. You can ask, okay, is Michael Wacha really the second best pitcher on the Royals? Is Seth Lugo really the third best? I'd argue Bubic is the second best behind Reagans, but I also understand the inclination to try and split your lefties, at least at the top of the rotation. But you get Kris Bubic against any other team's 4th starter in baseball, I'll take the all-star lefty. I'll take him any day, even on a day where he wasn't exactly at his best. He gave 6 strong innings. That was a big help for a Royals bullpen that was really a 5-man operation yesterday. Carlos Estevez wasn't going to pitch, and we still don't have any word on that ankle contusion he suffered on Saturday. If that's going to be a convenient excuse for the Royals to give him some time on the injured list, to get his arm right, to get his head right, to find his velocity. Understandable why the Royals are slow playing that, because they didn't have to make an immediate decision. They can always IL him tomorrow, make it retroactive, and go from there. But Estevez wasn't going to pitch yesterday. Lucas Erceg and Matt Strahm were also both down. Matt Quatraro confirmed this after the game because it's too early in the season to work relievers 3 straight days. Not something that you want to do in an ideal world. So the Royals were really down to 5 guys in the bullpen. The way the outing started for Kris Bubic, you could certainly see an ending where he's walking off the mound with 1 out in the 5th. And all of a sudden, the Royals had to find a way to cover 13, 14, 15 outs on a day where you've only got 5 relievers. Bubic gave him 6, and that allowed Matt Quatraro to set his bullpen the way that he wanted to. Daniel Lynch, very effective in the 7th. Probably owed a little bit to how the shadows were falling on Kauffman Stadium at that hour, but still, he got some ugly-looking swings against his stuff. That was a good 7th inning from Daniel Lynch. Nick Mears looked good in a shutdown 8th, and John Schreiber took care of business his 2nd straight day of work before an off day. He got the side in the 9th, allowing just 1 2-out single to record the save. So while the Estevez meltdown from Saturday is like, if there's been a signature moment for the Royals, like one big moment that kind of sticks out like a sore thumb from the first 4 games, it's probably that, because it was such an explosive meltdown, because it was so predictable, because it happened on national TV and ended in a walk-off loss. Like, that's the thing. If anybody around baseball who's not a Royals fan knows anything about what the Royals have done their first 4 games, it's probably, oh yeah, Estevez gave up 6 runs in the 9th inning on Saturday. That was their closer, and he melted down in his first outing of the year. That's the big thing that the Royals have done so far. But other than that, the Royals' short relievers have uniformly been terrific. And the list of guys who Matt Quatraro trusts in the 9th inning is a long list. Like, I know you're thinking going into a game where, okay, another low-scoring affair, looks like it might be a save situation in the 9th. Estevez is obviously not an option. Erceg isn't an option. Matt Strahm isn't an option. Uh-oh, who's it going to be? And John Schreiber is a guy who I think his level of trust, if you ask 10 Royals fans, you might get 10 different answers as to how much they trust or don't John Schreiber. But Matt Quatraro has always trusted John Schreiber. And if it wasn't Schreiber, it could have been a guy like Alec Lang, who saved 26 games in a major league season before. Setting aside Estevez's meltdown and the very real questions about when or if he will return to effectiveness this year, this can be a really solid bullpen. It sets up to, I think, be really, really effective. And we've seen some good things through the first 4 games from them. And so it is that the Royals are 2-2 and arguably should be 3-1. And they've scored 9 runs in 4 games. The offense has not been awesome. The at-bats yesterday were not real good. A lot of guys getting beaten on pitches on the inner half. Whole lot of pop-ups. Joking in the press box that it seemed like the Royals came out and said, all right, how far do they really move these fences in? Let's try to hit them all over these fences. Do they move them in 200 feet? Because if they moved them in 200 feet, the Royals might have hit 4 or 5 home runs yesterday. The at-bats in a sum total were not real good. But sometimes you got to have the bottom of the order pick up the big boppers. And that's what happened with Kyle Isbel homering and Isaac Collins adding the insurance run in the 7th inning. Both home runs that would have been out of any ballpark in Major League Baseball, including Kauffman with the old dimensions. And as a result, it's a feel-good opening day home win. The Royals have historically struggled on opening day proper. think they were like 20-38 all time on opening day. And then last year they lost not just opening day, but their home opener as well. That extra inning loss to the Guardians. And it kind of set a down note for the rest of how that first portion of the year would go there in late March and early April. Hopefully a home win yesterday sets a more positive tone, starts this homestand out on the right foot, and gets the Royals going here in 2026. We'll get your reaction here after we take a quick timeout. We're going to talk to Shelia Sickau from the Kansas City Chiefs. She's their senior marketing manager of football development. We're going to talk to her about the possibility of KSHSAA adding girls flag football as a championship sport next fall. We've got more Royals to get to. We got our March championship on What Is Wrong With You. We got Michael Swain of Fog.net, bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Jam-packed show today. Sure, I'm glad you're along on 580 Sports Talk. .329 on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting started on this Tuesday edition, our first show of the week. Obviously, we're off yesterday for the Royals. We'll be short on Thursday. Royals have a day game scheduled, though. Looking at the weather this week, are they going to get in a game tomorrow? Might there be a doubleheader Thursday? Will there be any more baseball at Kauffman Stadium this week? Who's to say? Hopefully the rain stays away. We can get some baseball in at the Truman Sports Complex this week. Want to give the first word to the Bard. It's great to have baseball season back. That means the Bard is weighing in on our YouTube live chat. Opening day at the K was a blast. The boys on the mound throwing gas. The O is still not up to par, but their runs did go really far. The Twins as a team might be ass. I don't think there's a might be there, Bard. Normally the Bard doesn't work blue. That kind of caught me off guard. But no, great effort. Great limerick from the Bard to lead us off for the 2026 season. Yeah, Twins are not good. That is not a real imposing lineup. Yeah, just don't really know what to make of that team. I said before the season I thought they'd maybe win 70 games. It's about where I feel like they'll check in. But yeah, it was good to see the Royals pitching really kind of have their way with them after Bubic's slow start. He really settled in and didn't give up another hit after the Matt Wallner home run in the second inning. That was the last hit that he gave up. And then largely clean work from the trio of Lynch, Mears, and Schreiber. And again, in a perfect world, those are probably depending on where you want to lump Alec Lang in, that's like the middle of your bullpen. That's supposed to be like the squishy part of your bullpen, right? Like you trust the back end guys. You trust the ninth inning guy. Well, maybe not right now if you're a Royals fan, but like you trust Lucas Erceg, you trust Matt Strom. You trust the guys in that portion of the bullpen pecking order. But the middle, the squishy middle, sometimes you think, oh, those guys protecting a one-run lead. I don't know how I feel about that. But, Lynch and Mears and Schreiber passed that test with flying colors yesterday. I thought that was really impressive. Paul adds the numbers behind the Royals' solid start. 10 strikeouts to just 1 walk in 11 2/3 innings for the Royals bullpen, other than Carlos Estevez' 9th inning in Atlanta. The walk to strikeout number is obviously the big one. That's what the Royals have done, I think, exceptionally well, really with the exception of Cole Reagans in the opener. Is come out and throw strikes. Fill up the strike zone. And I think that has been a big part of the team's success so far. Andrew in the live chat on YouTube says, yesterday it was nice to see the bottom of the lineup come through. I really think Isbel is underrated. The thing about Isbel, he's never put up great offensive numbers. He's never hit lefties well. I am wondering if in a role where he only has to face right-handed pitchers, and not exclusively, but he's going to be in, I think, a pretty tight platoon a lot of this year with Lane Thomas on the other side of that, playing center field against left-handers. I wonder if exclusively seeing right-handed pitching, or almost exclusively seeing right-handed pitching, might lead to numbers, baseball card numbers anyway, that are the best of Kyle Isbel's career, like average, on base, slug. They should be better against right-handed pitchers. I'm not going to stand here. I'm not going to go full Fulton Caster on you. Yeah, our old friend, former co-host of Mic'd Up, Fulton Caster, big Kyle Isbel guy. To this day, big Kyle Isbel guy. And always on the forefront of predicting the Kyle Isbel breakout. I'm not going to go that far. But I do think that being a part of a platoon will help him. It'll at least help his numbers. And broadly, I think it will help the Royals get better production out of center field, which they really have needed because, well, Isbel's numbers, they are what they are. Joe in the YouTube comments says, so far with the Royals, it's like the line from Major League. We may run like Hayes, but we hit like bleep. Yeah, offense is yet to arrive, to say the least, in 2026. You can't just point to one guy or two guys. Nobody's really swinging the bat great for the Kansas City Royals. 9 runs in 4 games, I think, tells enough of that story. But you go 2-2 when the offense isn't firing, you'll take that. I think that, again, it's a sign of how good the pitching on this team is, how good the defense on this team is. And, yeah, if not for the atrocious Estevez outing on Saturday, we talked about that a little bit. In case you missed it, I did a live show from my office, literally, yesterday afternoon. You can find it on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. I went live for about 20 minutes, talked about Estevez blowing his stack on Saturday, talked about the Final Four, how John Shire is the master of panic, and he is Duke's ceiling, and they will never win anything of meaning with him as the coach. And talked about Gary Woodland winning in Houston. Talked about the big stories, stuff that couldn't wait really until today to get to on the show. So if you missed that, go to our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. You can find that on our YouTube channel. Click that live tab. It'll pop up. So we did get into that. I did get a little further in, a little more in-depth to that bad Estevez outing. But yeah, gosh, you remove that from the equation. A lot of things have gone really well for the Royals in the first 4 games, despite the fact that, like, statistically, it has not been clean. And offensively, certainly, there is a whole lot of room for growth for these Kansas City Royals. Coming up later in the 4 o'clock hour, we're going to look some of those broader trends, if you could even call them that, through 4 games, and play, while we're talking about our old friend Fulton and Mic'd Up, formerly aired on 580 Sports, 580 WIBW. We're going to bring back an old game they used to play on that show called Overreaction, Proper Reaction. And we'll talk about the first 4 games of this Royals season because they're not giving us a 5th one to look ahead to tonight. There is no game scheduled tonight. Royals will be back at it tomorrow night, game 2 of their 3-game set with the Twins. But after this timeout, we're going to welcome in Shelia Sickau from the Kansas City Chiefs. She is the Chiefs' Senior Marketing Manager of Football Development, and she is involved in trying to get girls flag football sanctioned by KSHSAA as a championship sport starting next year. We'll ask her why the Chiefs have been on the forefront of promoting flag football, not just in the greater Kansas City area, but across the state of Kansas. Should be an interesting conversation. Looking forward to having it here next on 580 Sports Talk. Next month at the KSHSAA Board of Directors meeting, an amendment will be discussed that, if passed, will add girls flag football as the newest KSHSAA-sanctioned championship sport. The Kansas City Chiefs organization has taken a leading role in the promotion of flag football at all levels, including being involved in the pilot program that has operated in the state of Kansas the last 2 falls. Joining us to talk about it is the Senior Marketing Manager of Football Development for the Kansas City Chiefs, Shelia Sickau. Shelia, again, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
I'm glad to talk about flag any chance I get. So thank you.
Absolutely. So what was the entry point for the Chiefs to get involved with the promotion of flag football on an organizational scale?
Yeah, so back in 2020, 2021, the NAI and the KSHSAA-sanctioned actually started an inaugural program at the collegiate level. And so that's when we really started to see it in this area, at the talent of it, of scholarship opportunities finally becoming available for the first time for girls to play football. Shortly after that, we started the Girls Play Flag Football League through Chiefs Flag Football. So for the first time in the area, having the opportunity for girls to not have to play on co-ed teams. And that number has increased significantly. So then here we were having youth leagues for girls flag football, scholarship opportunities, and then needing to fill that puzzle piece at the high school level to really complete that pathway.
What is the nature of the collaboration between the Chiefs and KSHSAA? Where did that conversation start, and what has been the level of collaboration that you have had with KSHSAA regarding the proposal, the presentation of this amendment coming up at the Board of Directors meeting in April?
Yep. So it started 2 falls ago of really myself and my coordinator, Abby Brown, going and having one-on-one conversations with athletic directors, going and setting up meetings, Zoom calls, talking about the benefits of flag and then the resources that we were able to bring to the table to help start up that program. So that first fall, last year, we had 11 programs and we were out at home field. We rented out all the fields, helped do the scheduling, hiring the officials, and then really connecting the high schools to make it a turnkey program if they said yes to starting one up. So Nike a few years ago did a $100,000 grant per state to invest in jerseys in flag football, so connected them with the Nike reps. USA Football provides equipment kits for all of the schools, down to the pylons, cones, footballs, flag football belts, everything there. And then on our side, helping doing coaches clinics to make sure the coaches knew the sport, felt comfortable coming in, as well as some financial grant funding as well.
Our guest is Shelia Sickau. She's the Senior Marketing Manager of Football Development with the Kansas City Chiefs, joining us on the Flowing Place Wine and Spirits hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. We mentioned the pilot program that has operated over the last 2 years, had up to 29 schools involved last fall after there were 11 involved in the first season of the pilot program. What was some of the feedback you got from the involved schools? It ranged in size from, you had a lot of USD 259 schools in Wichita who were involved, some bigger schools in the Kansas City metro area on the Kansas side. You also had schools like Wellsville as a 3A school that was involved in that program. What were some of the feedback? What was some of the feedback that was received through the pilot program the last 2 years?
I will say the majority of it extremely positive. And we would tell the athletic directors and principals, just trust us. If you build it, these girls will come out. So the first district that came on board was Kansas City Public, with all 5 schools that first year. And what really shocked some of the admin were the girls coming out had never been on another sports team. But it was their first time that they could feel comfortable coming out as a sophomore, junior, senior, and starting a sport at the same time their peers were as well. And same thing with the smaller schools, big turnouts. We had a school over in Missouri because we're helping out over there as well, with 450 students altogether. 252 girls and 52 girls came out for the flag football team. So we're seeing astronomical numbers once the programs are started, positive feedbacks from parents, a lot of emails from parents saying, I've never seen the side of my daughter before. She's feeling empowered, can do the thing that she finally loves, and is getting support by, the Chiefs and the NFL and now Olympic team.
You mentioned the term turnkey in regards to starting a flag football program. If this does get KSHSAA approval and it becomes the written language in the amendment at the on the what is it? The agenda for the KSHSAA Board of Directors meeting suggests it would be a fall sport for the 26-27 year. What would schools have to do to make sure that they would be ready for competition? And how many schools would you anticipate would be able to get a program together with the expenses, with the people that you would need to make it happen? Do you anticipate that being a process where anybody who wants to can jump right in and field a program in the sport's first year as a sanctioned championship event?
Yeah. So one of the beautiful things about flag and why it is growing at such a high rate in the United States and internationally is how easily accessible it is and to start up programs. So it's not like a tackle football program where you're ordering all this equipment, pads, helmets, need a full football field at all times. We had some programs this last fall tell us at the beginning of August that they were jumping on board and starting a program in September. So it is a really quick turnaround. The longest thing that it usually takes is jersey orders to get those in, and then finding that coach. But you'd be surprised at the people already in the buildings and teachers that are wanting and willing to help support this program. And as far as us making it turnkey to get it off the ground, that was when we were really handling the schedule, finding the fields and the officials and everything like that. So for it to become sanctioned, that would obviously go on the schools a little bit more for it to be officially recognized. But then it also gives that validity for the 5A schools to be playing against the schools that within their area, instead of having to travel to the only schools that are having programs.
Is the long-term vision for it to be a statewide sport where you don't just have, in the major metropolitan areas that participation, but you have schools that are maybe in more far-flung areas, schools out in central Kansas, schools out in western Kansas, schools as far out as northwest, southwest Kansas that want to be involved with this sport, being able to do so and having enough competition statewide to be able to field teams at all different levels?
Absolutely. And I mean, Colorado is already sanctioned as a sport out on the western side. And so that neighboring state is already at that level. But even looking at how some of the Kansas schools with tackle football have gone to the 8-man, 6-man, or the combining of the schools together, for those schools further out in the rural Kansas, we could definitely see that coming and would advise to do it to get the program off the ground if needed.
We're speaking with Shelia Sickau. She's the senior marketing manager and of football development for the Kansas City Chiefs, who are involved in the potential for KSHSAA to add flag football as a sanctioned championship sport. That's going to come up in their board of directors meeting next month. Shelia joining us here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. What do you foresee as the long-term future for the growth of flag as a sport? Do you see continued? I mean, just today it was announced that the Big 12 is partnering with the NFL and looking into potentially having programs at their member institutions. So do you see this continuing to grow as a college scholarship sport, more and more states sanctioning it? What is the long-term growth potential for girls flag?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we believe in the short and the long-term potential of this. I think once it was announced as the Olympics in 2028, it really started the ball rolling for everything else, especially with NCAA voting on it being emerging sports status already at Division I, II, and III. We've seen the growth within our area at the KCAC level and at NAI over the last 5 years before it's become a championship sport there. And so once those get on board, then we have to have the programs at the high school levels to build those rosters with the girls and give them the opportunity and that pathway to get the scholarships. And then internationally, I mean, we have over 20 million players playing it worldwide already. And so we're just scratching the surface at this point with flag football.
I wanted to ask you about the other side of this. We just saw very, very publicly and very prominently in the what was called the Fanatics Flag Football Challenge. Flag football is a very different sport than American tackle football and a very different skill set from American tackle football. With that in mind, what is the potential for boys flag football to also be included as a sport, as something that could be a championship sport, a scholarship sport at the college level, and the growth of that as not even just an alternative, but a supplement to American tackle football?
Yep. So my personal opinion on that, honestly, is that tradition now is for boys to play flag, and then once you get to middle school, play tackle or high school. And they haven't had the role models in that position. Same as we say for girls, if she can see it, she can be it. And boys flag players have not seen, while we have a men's national team, not in the spotlight until recently with the Fanatics and all those things. So now you have these young boys that play flag football, seeing role models, playing against Tom Brady in flag football, and then now seeing an Olympic team that they could play for in 2028, as well as the NFL Pro League that'll be coming out, will be men's and women's. So I think it's, again, working backwards of once these boys can see role models in a future of playing flag football, then we'll see those other opportunities start rolling out. But for girls right now on the flip side, there is no, I have to switch over and play tackle because that's what's expected of me. But that's where we're at with flag football.
Last thing I want to ask, Shelia, is if somebody listening to this is the parent of a young girl or a young boy who wants to get started with flag football. That's how my parents started me in football. Is they said let's give flag a try, and that was my first experience with organized football, was playing flag football, and this was back in the 90s. If I'm dating myself a little bit, but that was my first football experience, and I'm sure it's the first football experience for more and more young boys and young girls as it goes. What can the Chiefs do? What have the Chiefs done to be able to help connect interested participants with flag football programs, and what are ways that parents can get started and begin to interact with flag?
course. So we're actually going to be building out a lot of different resources coming up in this next month. So be on the lookout for that. But if you go to our Chiefs website right now, just chiefs.com, and go to our flag football tab, we have a map of all of our Chiefs flag football programs throughout Kansas and Missouri. And then we also work very closely with NFL flag. So there are touchdowns for tots as young as 3 and 4 year olds starting flag football, all the way up and through. But always check out our website for any information to try to get your kids started.
Shelia Sickau is the Senior Marketing Manager of Football Development for the Kansas City Chiefs. They've been working very closely with KSHSAA to propose an amendment that would make girls flag football a sanctioned championship sport in the state of Kansas. That'll come up at the Board of Directors meeting this next month. Shelia, thank you so much for talking about the future of flag football and girls flag football in high school in Kansas with us today.
Of course. Thank you.
That is Shelia Sickau. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this 3 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk after this. .354 on 580 Sports Talk, bringing hour number 1 of 3 on this Tuesday afternoon to a close. Our thanks again to Shelia Sickau, the Senior Marketing Director of Football Development with the Kansas City Chiefs, for joining us. Again, the KSHSAA Board of Directors meeting is coming up in about 3 weeks or so. I think it's April 22nd and 23rd. And at that meeting, there will be an amendment discussed that would, if passed, introduce girls flag football as, if it's passed as written, a fall sport and a KSHSAA-sanctioned championship sport. And the ramifications for that would be fascinating. How many local schools do indeed start programs, the participation numbers, what sports maybe lose participation numbers to flag football, I think would also be interesting. But I think there is an appetite, like, it sounds ridiculous to have to say this, but girls like football too. Like, y'all are out there like football and watch football, and many young girls watch Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and want to throw touchdown passes and catch touchdown passes and make those kinds of plays. And to have the opportunity to do that, and then with the growth now of it as a scholarship sport in college. Today, I think it was the Big South Conference announced it would be adding flag football. We've seen it in the NAIA, the Big 12 today, working in conjunction with the NFL to maybe add flag football as a sport. So all kinds of growth options for the sport. And And I do think that there's potential that we see it as a boys' sport down the road as well, because it is a whole different ballgame. And all those NFL stars, past and present, will tell you after they got schooled by Team USA in that flag football exhibition out in Los Angeles. It was supposed to be out in Saudi Arabia, but they moved it for reasons. All those guys, from Tom Brady to Myles Garrett, all those NFL superstars, past and present, understand now, if they did not before, flag football, different game, different skill set. It's not just plug and play. Oh, well, I'm good at tackle football. I'm built for tackle football. I'm going to go dominate this flag football. No, not so easy. We laughed. We laughed at that the quarterback for Team USA when he said, yeah, those guys can't touch us on the football field. I'd like to see them do what we do. And we laughed. We all did. We all rolled our eyes at that. But no, man, they were right. They were right. They know their game better than we do. And it is. It's a different game. So, yeah, I think it's great that the Chiefs are involved in this initiative. I love the thought of people introducing themselves, kids introducing themselves to the game via flag. That was, like I said in the interview, I played flag football for a fall. I think I was in 5th grade, just to see if I wanted to continue on and play more football. And in the end, I just wanted to play baseball. At the end of the day, I just want to play baseball. I would rather have played baseball year round, and that's the route I went. But I did play flag football, and I did have 3 interceptions in my last game of flag football. They kept running the same stupid halfback pass, the other team, telegraphing it every single time. I just read the play. 3 interceptions in my final flag football game. I went out on top. I really did. I retired at the top of my game. We'll take a time out here on 580 Sports Talk. Come over the 4 o'clock hour. Michael Swain will join us from Fog.net for Jayhawk Weekly. And we'll talk about what we've seen the first 4 games from the Kansas City Royals and play a little overreaction, proper reaction on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Tuesday afternoon. My name is Dan Lucero. So glad to be with you on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our streaming video channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, WIBW News on Facebook. Solo mission today. Yours truly hanging out with you until 6 o'clock. No Royals baseball tonight. Boys in blue are off tonight. They will resume, weather permitting, on Wednesday night against the Twins. A 6:40 first pitch, then a 1:10 afternoon first pitch on Thursday, before the Milwaukee Brewers come to town for a 3-game weekend set. Royals are 2-2. 4 games is less than 3% of 162 games. It is the most minuscule portion of the season to draw any conclusions from. You make the comparison all the time. 4 games in a baseball season out of 162. If you multiplied 17 NFL games by 2.4%, you would get 0.4. You would not even get to half of 17 football games. You would have not even a halftime of game 1. You would not even beat a halftime of your first game of the season. So this would be like the Chiefs are down 10-3 or tied at 7 with whoever their week 1 opponent is going to be, and drawing sweeping conclusions about everything you've seen so far. It's still so early in this. But we don't have any games to talk about today, so why don't we look at the first 4 games, and we'll go back to an old segment we used to do on a previous sports talk show around here. We called it Overreaction, Proper Reaction. I even found the theme song for it. Used to have a theme. So we'll play a little Overreaction, Proper Reaction to what we're seeing from the first 4 games for the Royals. They're 2-2. That's good. They should be 3-1. They're not. That's not good. They are -5 in run differential. That's not great. Give you an idea, the Colorado Rockies are +6. And they stink. They're 1-3. They're +6 in run differential. That's how much one game, good or bad, can kind of sway your run differential this early in the season, obviously. But some early trends, such as you can call them that, through 4 games, and we'll discuss those here on the show. Also this hour, it's time to crown a March champion on What Is Wrong With You. We are down to 2 really strong stories for the month. We have Keep the Change in one corner. We have the urinator in the incinerator in the other corner. And don't worry, if you're not familiar with the stories by title alone, we'll re-rack those one more time for you before we crown a March champion on What Is Wrong With You. And also, Michael Swain of Fog.net will join us at the bottom of this hour for Jayhawk Weekly. Not a lot of news coming out of the Jayhawk basketball program the last couple of days. And we'll ask Michael Swain, is no news news? As that goes, no, a lot of people were thinking that maybe Bill Self was going to step aside, or maybe he was going to announce that he wasn't. There was some anticipation that Tyron Stokes was going to make a commitment announcement today. That has not happened. I guess it could still happen. It's only 5:10 on the East Coast. We got some day left. But we'll get the thoughts of Michael Swain, everything going on with the basketball program, or not going on with the basketball program, as the case may be, and also look at spring football. It's early days in spring football camp, but Michael got to take in some practice today, and we're going to get some of his thoughts. Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. He'll join us at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. You are invited and encouraged to be part of the show, to play along a little bit with Overreaction, Proper Reaction. The text line is 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also hit me up if you are watching on YouTube. The name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk, and if you are watching the show live from 3 to 6 Central, remember, when we're on the radio live, we're on our YouTube stream live. Hop in that live chat. There's a live chat window. You can participate, say hello to your fellow listeners, help grow the 580 Sports Talk community. So we look forward to hearing from you guys as it goes along here in the 4 o'clock hour and throughout the rest of today's show. So the Royals are 2-2. Hasn't been the prettiest always getting there, but yesterday was a solid win in the home opener. First time the Royals had won a home opener since 2022. And Sunday was a well-played, kind of a routine 4-1 win in Atlanta to get out of Atlanta without being swept. Which I think one thing that happened in that game that kind of speaks to the maturity of this Royals team, which, as we've talked about, it's a young core of leaders aside from the veteran captain, Salvador Perez. But this is a pretty mature team, I think, largely. And I think a sign of that maturity was the way they went about their business on Sunday. That was not a team that played like they were worried about starting 0-3. Like, they did not play like a team that carried any hangover from the way they had lost on Saturday night and the way they had started 0-2 into Sunday's game. They didn't play, they didn't feel burdened. It did not feel as though that game was any more significant than, hey, 1 out of 162, it's a win opportunity. Let's go take care of business. I think some of that stemmed from the way Seth Lugo pitched. I think the starting pitching is going to set the tone for this team, I think, all season long. And I think Lugo certainly set the tone on Sunday. But to go out on Sunday and earn a fairly routine 4-0 win, get an early lead, build on that lead, starting pitcher works into the 7th, bullpen is smooth, except for the fastball that from Schreiber that Drake Baldwin hit out for the solo home run with 2 out in the 8th. That was a very, I thought, mature kind of performance and way to go win a game for the Royals to make sure. Again, sign of a good team. You're not going to go a whole year without losing a series. It just doesn't happen. You have to avoid sweeps. You have to avoid long losing streaks. You want to avoid the dreaded unhappy flight. You always want a happy flight. And the Royals being able to do that, I think, carried over into Monday's home opener victory. But we're 4 games in. We're starting to see some, back of the baseball card stats start to develop. I've got 3 reactions to the first 4 games. And we'll see what you think, if they are overreactions or proper reactions. And again, wouldn't sound right without the old open. Let's play that.
You're overreacting.
I think you're overreacting.
A highly sensible reaction.
Totally rational reaction.
An understandable reaction.
I overreacted.
I think Fulton made that. Fulton getting a lot of run on today's 580 Sports Talk. Head of the Kyle Isbel fan club. Hope he's listening. All right. Overreaction, proper reaction. Here's the first one. Same old for the bottom of the Royals lineup. Now, that's a funny one in the context of what happened yesterday, right? Because it was only the bottom of the Royals lineup that produced in the 3-1 win over the Twins. Kyle Isbel's first home run of the season, 2-run dinger, and Isaac Collins' first hit as a Royal, a solo smash in the 7th to provide the insurance run in that 3-1 win. So the bottom of the order wasn't a problem yesterday, but we have not seen a ton of great stuff from 5 through 9 in the order, which has been a bit of a black hole the last 2 seasons. Like I mentioned, that home run was Isaac Collins' first hit. Kyle Isbel kind of is who he is, though I do think, like I said in the 3 o'clock hour, exclusively seeing right-handers or almost exclusively seeing right-handers will probably be a benefit for him. Jack Caglione still hitting the ball on the ground too much. His approach still kind of a little squirrely, a little all over the place. Like he's still trying to undo the struggles of last year in every single at bat. Like the bat speed is still crazy. You want proof? You saw him strike out in the 6th, I think. Was it the 6th or the 8th? He struck out and the bat went flying out of his hands and just about into the Royals dugout. They measure the bat speed even when you don't make contact. He swung that bat about 81 miles an hour. That was elite bat speed on a big old swing and miss. Like the tools are all there for Jack, but still hitting the ball on the ground too much. Carter Jensen has a home run, but he struck out 5 times in his first 11 plate appearances. So the bottom of the lineup is a problem. Am I overreacting? Hopefully. I don't think that it's fair to definitively say that the bottom of the lineup is a problem, but like we've been here the last 2 years, right? And these first 4 games have kind of felt like that. But the truth is, nobody's off to a good start offensively. He had 9 runs in the first 4 games. The Royals as a team are hitting $192. They got 7 extra base hits in 138 plate appearances. As a team, the strikeout rate is not abhorrent. 31 strikeouts in 138 plate appearances is only like 22%. I don't think that the Royals have chased a ton of bad pitches aside from Salvador Perez, and that's an old dog you're not teaching new tricks at this point. But I don't think the quality of at-bats has been particularly bad. Again, early in the season, you faced really good, healthy, fresh pitchers, like guys maybe that are at the best, the sharpest they're going to be, or among the sharpest that they're going to be. That's part of it. But it has not been a really good start offensively for anybody. The only 2 regulars who've been above average and OPS plus are Isbel and Michael Garcia. Almost did it. Almost. So, yes, I do think that there are some concerns about, I won't say the bottom of the lineup at large, but I will point this out. If the idea for the Royals was to improve outfield offense, the offense from the outfield has been so poor the last 2 years. And you go into 2026 and your outfield is batting 7-8-9 in your batting order, you probably didn't go far enough to improve your outfield offense. And look, however much they improve the offense in the outfield is going to depend in great I am completely lost for the word I was looking for. The improvement of the outfield is going to rest a lot on the improvement of Jack Caglione. Like, he is the most important guy in that outfield mix when it comes to the bats. But if Isaac Collins is an 8-hole hitter and Kyle Isbel remains a 9-hole hitter, and we'll see what Lane Thomas is. I have my doubts that he's really a 3-hole hitter against left-handed pitching. Like, he helps, but I don't know he'd be batting number 3 against right-handed pitching. Then how much did you really improve that part of your team? Did you improve it enough? And the fact is, we're not gonna know that answer until we get further down the road with Jack. But bottom of the order in trouble, I don't think that's an overreaction just yet. I don't think that's an overreaction. But I also don't think it's quite, I think it's maybe an overstatement, but it's not wrong to be a little bit concerned that maybe the outfield didn't improve enough offensively. Next one. The starting rotation is top 10 caliber in baseball. I think that's a proper reaction. The worst start we've seen so far has come from Cole Reagans. And Reagan said it after the game. He wasn't sharp. He couldn't locate his fastball. And look, I don't care how good you are. I don't care what kind of stuff you've got. You can't locate the fastball. You're gonna have a bad day. You're gonna have a bad time. You have a bad day. Cole Reagan's had a bad day. I mean, he also gave up a home run on like 100% of his batted fly balls. That rate's going to come down. He'll be a little more fortunate moving forward. I thought the home run by Albies in particular was kind of chintzy, but you get what you get. But Michael Wacha following him was terrific. 6 shutout frames. Seth Lugo was sharp. Both of those guys absolutely must avoid walks and home runs, and both entirely did in their first starts. And we saw Bubic excel without his best stuff yesterday. We're going to hear some from Kris Bubic in his post-game comments later on in the 5 o'clock hour. Interesting guy, Kris Bubic. Really enjoyed listening to him talk about his outing after yesterday's game. So, obviously, these guys, there are some concerns. Age for Wacha and Lugo, injury for Ragans and Bubic. But broadly, I think you're looking at a rotation with a bunch of guys who know how to pitch. They know how to game plan. They know how to get deep into games. Go look at the list of guys who were starting games around the league yesterday, which is the 4th or the 5th game for a lot of teams in the league. Go ask yourself, would you rather have that guy or would you rather have Kris Bubic? Would you rather have that guy or would you rather have Noah Cameron? Like, that's the kind of depth we're talking about here with this Royals team. We haven't seen Cameron yet. We're going to get to see him tomorrow. But I do think that this rotation is going to be this team's strength. This rotation is going to be what sets the tone. And I thought it was really encouraging, both for Wacha and Lugo in particular, to pitch as well as they did. Because you saw Reagan showed that Braves order can do some damage if you're not careful, if you don't locate, if you don't stay out of their hit me zones. That's a lineup that's got a lot of power, a lot of pop. And Wacha and Lugo kept them off the board and were really sharp and threw a bunch of strikes. And based on their final outings, respectively, before the start of the regular season, you didn't necessarily feel like that was a guarantee. But those guys were dialed. And I think Lugo in particular has got a ton to prove after the way last season ended. I don't know that he's going to get back to his peak strikeout numbers this season, but I think he can be a dependable middle rotation arm. I don't think you're going to see a lot of guys pitch at the level of like a number 2 starter, but I think Ragans has ace ability, and I think you have a bunch of guys who are going to pitch like steady number 3, number 4 starters all season long. And that's going to be a good way to, like we talked about earlier, avoid losing streaks and build winning streaks. Third overreaction, proper reaction for the first 4 Royals games. Bullpen will be fine. Big question mark in the 9th inning right now, right? Because that was supposed to be Carlos Estevez's inning. It was his inning all last year, led the American League in saves. I said, as it happened on social media, and I said it yesterday on our bonus show. We did a little office hours with me yesterday on our 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel. I don't know that I've ever seen a more predictable blown save in my life than Carlos Estevez blowing his top on Saturday against the Braves, coming in against 2-3-4 with a 2-run lead and a fastball 5 miles an hour off of his career mark. And look, it's one thing if you don't have your best fastball, but you're Seth Lugo and you got like 8 other pitches, or you're Kris Bubic and you got a really good changeup and you got a sweeper and you got ways you can keep guys honest. If you're a reliever and your best pitch isn't up to snuff, you're in trouble. Because typically you got one good pitch, one great pitch. And for Estevez, his whole career has been the fastball. Works off that fastball. And he knows he can't throw it by anybody right now, which is why he can't throw it in the strike zone, which is where the command problems come from. And when he did throw it in the strike zone, Dominic Smith hit it to North Carolina. I don't know if that ball has landed yet. So that was supposed to be the 9th inning option. That was supposed to be the 9th inning answer. That's what he's getting paid to be. That's what he was last year. He was an all-star in that role. But if he's not going to be that, it changes how the Royals bullpen looks. But I still think Matt Quatraro is spoiled for choice back there with a left-hander like Matt Strahm with a lot of late-inning experience and the ability to miss bats, with guy like Lucas Erceg, guy like John Schreiber, Alec Lang has closer experience. Nick Mears looked sharp yesterday. Daniel Lynch looked sharp yesterday. And I like not just the power in that bullpen or the potential for power and strikeout stuff. I like that there are a bunch of different ways that this group can attack hitters. It's not just, oh, here they all come from the same arm slot, and it's 95 and a slider. It's 98 and a slider. No, all these guys are different. Schreiber's got a little bit of funk. Strom's got a little bit of that low 3/4 release. Lynch has different out pitches than Strom does, who has different out pitches than Mears from the right side, who has different out pitches than Erceg. So I like that there's a mix back there, and I like, and we have a texter who points this out from 785, who says the crazy thing is there might be better bullpen options in Omaha right now. Like the Royals AAA bullpen, Steven Cruz, who was really good last year for the Royals in stretches. Luinder Avila, who's super promising, and he's starting the year as a starter, which he should at AAA, but he's going to be a potential bullpen impact for the Royals if that's the role they need him in. Eli Morgan's had good success in the American League Central with Cleveland previously. Like, you don't really worry that one guy not being his best is going to start a domino effect that just topples the bullpen. Estevez stunk on Saturday, wasn't available Sunday, Monday. Who knows when he'll be available next? But that didn't really change anything for the Royals bullpen. They went out and they got it done. Erceg got a save Sunday, and Schreiber got a save yesterday. So I think that's a proper reaction. The bullpen is going to be just fine. I'm not worried about it long term. Am I worried about Estevez? Yeah, sure. Sure I am. Do I think the best version of this bullpen includes a version of Estevez at 2025 form? Yeah, I do think that. But I think they can survive if he keeps reaching back for a fastball that just isn't there. Andrew asked, why aren't they sending down Estevez until he gets his velocity back? Well, they could phantom IL him. That's what they call it when they basically make up a reason to put him on the injured list. And I don't have a great answer for that, Andrew, because I thought that they should have done it coming out of spring training because he had lost some time with the team because he was in the World Baseball Classic. None of his outings with the Royals were particularly good, particularly promising. He was wild. He wasn't very effective. The velocity wasn't there. I thought it would have made some sense. And I am wondering if that is what they're planning to do, is to IL him. Although, if they wanted to do that, they probably would have just done it on Sunday. They probably just would have done it right away. I think you've got to be a little bit delicate sometimes how you handle certain veteran players. You don't want to just toss them you feel like you're tossing them to the scrap heap after one outing, and it doesn't read well in the clubhouse sometimes. You got to be a little careful with how you do something like that. It's a people business at the end of the day. But I do not have a great answer why they would not do that. If they felt like, all right, yeah, the arm isn't 100%, well, let's just call it shoulder tightness and put him on the 15-day and get Cruz or Morgan up, because those guys can handle a middle inning role just fine. And now we've seen you move that guys up the bullpen pecking order and still get results. So we'll see. We will see what they do there. I am anticipating a decision on that before tomorrow's game, based on what Matt Cotrero said. They did not. I don't know if he was in a boot. I didn't get in the clubhouse yesterday, so I didn't see if he was walking around with a boot. I didn't hear if he was walking around before the game. Obviously, he wasn't in a boot when he went out for pregame festivities. But they could just say, yeah, he got a bruised ankle. We put him on the 10-day, and we'll get him back as soon as, get him back as soon as the fastball's back. That would be what would be, I think, what I think would be best for him. But it's unfortunate they had to lose a game, to learn what we all kind of thought was pretty obvious about his lack of readiness for the season. We'll take a time out here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll come back. We'll crown a monthly champion on What Is Wrong With You, and then we got Michael Swain of Fog.net, talk all things Jayhawks on Jayhawk Weekly. This is 580 Sports Talk. So what's wrong with you time here on 580 Sports Talk? We got two news stories. We don't have two news stories. We have a March championship to crown. I am like Kris Bubic. I am not my sharpest today. I do not have my A stuff behind the microphone today. It is the March championship for What Is Wrong With You. We got two stories that have survived the month and reached our What Is Wrong With You conclusion. Two stories, only one will be our March champion in advance to the December tournament of failed champions. We have Keep the Change. 33-year-old Patrick Alexander of Mississippi. In Chesterfield County in South Carolina, he was granted a $250 bond on a trespassing charge. And after he received his personal belongings, Alexander pulled a wad of cash out and handed the judge three $100 bills and told him, keep the change. The judge quickly realized he could not keep the change because nobody was going to give him change for a fake $100 bill because the money wasn't real. The bills had an unusual color and Chinese writing on the back of the cash. A detention officer then used a counterfeit detection pen, which I don't really feel was necessary at that stage, but I guess you can never be too sure. And the bills were indeed fake. Alexander was informed that the money was counterfeit. He now faces an additional charge of forgery related to counterfeit money, and we presume a much higher bond than just the $250 bond that he faced for the trespassing charge in the first place. Two lessons there for Patrick. You want to flex, you better make sure your blue strips are real ones. Don't say "In God We Trust" in Chinese on the back. And also, just call a bondsman. Just have them bail you out. Then pay them with real money. Whoever you are paying, let this be the ultimate lesson of this story. Whoever you owe money to, pay them with real money, not funny money. So that's one story. Other story is the urinator in the incinerator. In Bloomingdale, Illinois, a suburban renter spoke out after he saw a maintenance worker on a surveillance camera peeing in his kitchen sink. It was supposed to be a routine maintenance visit. He let the man into his rental property to fix a washing machine. And the repairman decided he would haul off and pee in his kitchen sink. Xander Manning was the name of the tenant. Xander Manning, great name. And the understatement of the century in this story with the quote, "You trust these people to come in your home and you expect them to do their job correctly and not pee in your sink." Yes, Xander, that's correct. Those are, in fact, the two things I expect of any maintenance worker who enters my house. You're going to do the job, and you're not going to pee in my kitchen sink. I don't think that's asking for too much. Do the job I paid you to do, and do not urinate in my kitchen sink. The property management company fired the employee in question who was caught on camera peeing down the sink. I think these are two pretty good stories, and it was hard to pick a winner this week or this month, but the votes of the crew have been cast, and it is our March champion, the urinator in the incinerator. And in the end, I think that story gets the nod because of just how careless you have to be to pee in somebody's kitchen sink. And that guy probably thinks, nobody's going to know. Just, run a little water. Nobody will be the wiser. Kind of crazy that guy had surveillance on his kitchen sink. He thought to have that. That was pretty smart. Just incredible that somebody would do that. What a breach of privacy. What a betrayal of trust. Pee in my kitchen sink. I know it's all the same pipes, and I appreciate that the property management company redid the pipes and the garbage disposal. I need a new sink. I need a new sink and a couple months free rent while we're at it. Pee in my kitchen sink. I'm probably looking to move. I don't think I could ever trust that company again if that's the kind of people they hire. The urinator in the incinerator is our March champion on What Is Wrong With You. When we come back, Jayhawk Weekly with Michael Swain of Fog.net. Joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline is Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. It's a Tuesday, so this must be Jayhawk Weekly. Michael covers the Jayhawks at Fog.net. Be a 24/7 Sports VIP subscriber to get access to all of Michael's inside information. Michael, is no news when it comes to the immediate, short-term, and maybe long-term future of Kansas basketball, particularly their head coach, Bill Self?
That's an interesting way to frame it. No news. I think it's one of those where the longer this goes on, the more it feels like Bill Self will return. Because here's the thing: if he does retire, Travis Goff has to go hire a new head coach. And the closer you get to the portal opening and the season being over, right? Man, you're making life hard on the next coach who you go after if Travis Goff does have to do a coaching search. So I think if Bill Self knew for sure he was retiring, I think they would have announced it already, and this would be over. Now, does that mean that Bill Self is 1,000% not going to retire? I'm not definitely ready to say that yet. I would not, be putting my neck out there and say, yes, 1,000% he is coming back. But right now, the signs are that, I think things are probably trending much more to him returning, and that is a change compared to about 7-8 days ago, right? Where kind of as soon as the season ends, it sounded like he maybe was going to retire. And now I think that feeling has changed. I think over the weekend there was really a big shift. I think that started at the end of last week and kind of over the weekend that, hey, maybe he is looking at coming back, and what does that look like in terms of, hey, how much, money do you have for the roster if he comes back? And what do those numbers look like? I think that might be a part of this that's being ironed out. And just because there's not something public doesn't mean that they aren't doing work behind the scenes on stuff. I think you hear it all the time, right? The coaches that are in place right now, Jeremy Case, Tony Bland, Curtis Townsend, guys like that, right? They're going to be looking at the future and looking at the roster at Kansas and saying, well, we need to keep our eye on the portal and see what's going to go in. So I think it's one of those where, man, I think last week when we were on the show, I said that I felt like in the next kind of 7 days, we'd hear something. And here we are a week from then, and there's nothing. So I'm going to say it again. The next 7 days, I feel like we really should hear something. Because, look, by the time we talk this time next week, the portal's going to be wide open. So I really do feel like this is something that, man, gut by the end of the week probably. But, who knows? We'll have to see.
That's one of two KU basketball-related stories that, of course, everybody is following closely. The other is the decision that is forthcoming at some point from Tyron Stokes, top-rated prospect in the 2026 class, KU being very heavily considered by Tyron Stokes. He's playing in the McDonald's All-American game tonight. There was some thought that a decision might be coming tonight. Is that still in play, or is it still kind of TBD on when we're going to know Stokes' future and whether or not that future is going to come in Lawrence?
Yeah, definitely TBD. I don't know that it was ever really under consideration to commit tonight, at least based on what I've heard. So I know that was put out there. I don't think that was an accurate report to begin with. I think Tyron is going to take his time, and we had an exclusive interview with him on the website. Eric Bossy talked to him at the McDonald's All-American game and kind of said, hey, look, I don't have a firm date in mind. I want to see how some things play out. And he would love to, a little vague there, but I think you can read into what he wants to see play out, right? If Bill Self returns to Kansas, you feel pretty good about KU's chances because for a long time, right, this has been in his heart of hearts, Tyron probably wants to go to Kansas, but there are a lot of dominoes you got to figure out, right? He's a Nike athlete. He's at an Adidas event in the McDonald's All-American game wearing Nike shoes, right? That is something you got to get over that hurdle for him to be able to play at Kansas. So that's one thing. Then you've got the fact that he's the number one player, and he is not going to be a cheap person to add. So you got to figure out the contract, what that looks like. How do you do it rev share wise? How do you do it NIL wise? So there are a lot of things that had to be figured out. And so as the season for Tyron winds down, there's a little bit more focus on, hey, well, what exactly does that picture look like? I think things are close. Kentucky obviously is also in the mix, for Tyron. That would technically be his close to home option. And they are a Nike school. So that's something that they've got going for them. So this is a recruitment that's had plenty of twists and turns. And I'm not going to rule out another twist, but For right now, it does look like that KU's in a good spot, and they have a really long-standing relationship with Tyrant.
Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, is our guest here on 580 Sports Talk. He joins us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Let's pivot to some football, Michael, because you got a chance to take in some spring practice today. What stood out to you in the portion of practice that you got to observe? What was maybe one thing that stood out to you the most about what you and the assembled media got to publicly see?
Yeah, I don't think, quarterback obviously is going to be a position that's going to get a lot of eyeballs. Rightfully so, right? It's the first kind of open quarterback competition KU's had under Leipold, because even his first season, right, that was strictly just a fall camp. So this is the first time we've kind of seen KU go through a full year of having an open QB competition. Watched those guys today, at least right now, and look, like we get to watch 25, 30 minutes of practice. Not a ton of drills, no 11 on 11 really. But in the little bit that I watched with the quarterbacks, there wasn't oh wow, this guy looks head and shoulders above the rest moment. I do think that you kind of look at it, and just based on what I've heard so far, it seems like, Cole Ballard, Isaiah Marshall are probably the top two. And then there's Chase Jenkins probably going third right now. But I think this is one of those where it doesn't seem like right now, just in terms of watching some of those guys throw today, that you're watching them and you're like, oh yeah, that's the guy, right? And so that's going to be interesting to see kind of over the next couple weeks during spring, and then very much so, heading into the season. You got to keep an eye on, hey, is someone emerging and looking like they are the guy? Because that's obviously what the KU coaches are going to look for. So we'll be looking for signs along the way, but at least right here, kind of what is today, the fifth practice of spring, sixth practice of spring technically. So it's still even early in spring, but for right now, definitely not seeing yep, that is no doubtably your guy at quarterback.
Cole Ballard and Isaiah Marshall kind of running 1-2 or 1A and 1B, however you want to phrase it at this stage in the spring, at maybe the top two in that competition. How do you think they fit with their respective skill sets in an Andy Kotelnicki offense? What do you think that would be maybe emphasized with those quarterbacks were either of them to win the job by the returning offensive coordinator Kotelnicki?
Yeah, I think, it's one of those where obviously if you listen to the coaches and other people close to the program, like Ballard has great command of the offense and has great respect of his teammates. Like he will be a captain this year. I feel very confident in that. That is going to be kind of his MO, right? And so for Andy Kotelnicki, it's going to be, hey, you can run some complex stuff. You can trust Cole's going to run it well. In terms of, the option game is something that is obviously going to be brought up a lot. And with Cole, you're maybe going to lean a little bit more on some of the, the option stuff. Maybe it's going to be about getting him into space more as, hey, can you maybe get him either between the tackles or just more in short yard stuff rather than, Isaiah Marshall, on the other hand, where we've seen his long speed, right? He's an explosive athlete, one of the best athletes on the team, full stop. Like you're going to want to get Isaiah out in the space. How can you maximize his speed and his athleticism? And then for Isaiah, I think the big step he can take going forward is really command of the offense and decision making, right? He's a guy that even going back to high school as a gamer, right, makes good plays on unscripted moments. How can you do in the scripted moment? So I think you can kind of see how you could create an offense, right, around someone like Isaiah, where it's going to be, hey, there is going to be some unscripted stuff, but also you're really going to try and lean on his best traits, which is his athleticism. And then for Cole, it's going to be, game manager gets such a bad rap because at the end of the day, the best quarterbacks in the NFL are really good at managing the game. So you can also have someone like Cole there who can lead an offense and really execute what the coaches want. So there's some different directions. It'll be interesting to see how each player develops in their weaknesses, right? Can Isaiah become better in running the offense and being much more consistent? And can Cole maybe, improve some of the athleticism stuff, but also maybe give you a little bit more on the improvisation? So it's just an interesting dynamic where I think both of them have some similarities in their dual threat quarterbacks, but they have some differences in the way they go about it.
A couple more questions for Michael Swain of Fog.net, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline for Jayhawk Weekly. Michael, it would seem that there is a bit of a leadership vacuum for somebody or somebodies to step into in that KU huddle with so many veteran guys and long-term pieces on that offense having departed, graduated after last season. Does that maybe give a guy like Ballard, who's been with the program longer and has started games, does that give him a leg up, the ability that he might have to have more of a voice that carries in that huddle for a team on offense that's going to need a leader who understands expectations program-wide and understands the offense?
Maybe. I think, honestly, the leg up he has is that the coaches have shown that they liked what he offered more than Isaiah, right? Cole was the backup quarterback last year, so the coaches have shown you what they think about him and his ability to step in those moments. So I think when you look at the offense overall, like leadership-wise, yeah, Cole's going to be an important person. I think Isaiah is too. But then you look at some of the guys who are kind of guaranteed to play. Calvin Clemens has really taken a big step forward. I think Amir Herring is someone they're going to really challenge because he's going to start, whether it be at guard or center. Can he take a big step forward? And then you kind of look at the skill positions, and that's where I'm kind of like, all right, who can step up? Is Cam Pickett a vocal leader? Can he develop into that? That's going to be a question. Can in the running back room, hey, Dylan Edwards, can you take some ownership in that room and kind of lead some of those guys that, it's got a lot of new faces in that room. So I think there's plenty of guys to look for that need to step up in the leadership department. But I think that is something that will help Cole, is the fact that he already has that experience as the number 2 quarterback, and he's got the respect of his teammates already.
Speaking of Dylan Edwards, I want to ask about him last because obviously he's going to be a guy that gets a ton of attention through the spring and into the fall. What's the ideal usage pattern for him, you think, in the eyes of this Kansas coaching staff? Do you think they look at him as a 3-down back, or are they looking at him as somebody who is going to maybe need a complementary piece back there with him, but somebody also that they want to get as many touches as they can possibly scheme for him?
Yeah, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I remember when Dylan committed, I looked at it, and basically, he's not someone you're giving 15 carries to, like you did with Devin Neal. You're maybe going to give him 7 carries a game, and then find 8 other ways to get him the ball, whether that be 3 or 4 screen passes, a couple just plays to the flat, whether it be him going out and actually running routes, which he's really good at. You're going to try and find different ways to get Dylan the ball. The last thing you want is running in between the tackles 5-6 times a game and him taking those hits where over the course of the season he wears down. You really can't afford that. So that's where I think someone like Yasin Willis, Jalen Dupree, even we'll see if Corey Amakri can maybe break through the rotation this year. Like, KU's going to have some other physical backs that are going to be able to take some snaps off Dylan. And I think that's going to be the biggest balance they have to find, is wanting to use Dylan's dynamic athleticism and explosiveness while also wanting to make sure that they get to use it for 12 games in a year, right? Because the last thing you need is him taking some big hits early against Missouri, against Arizona State, and then all of a sudden you only have one bye week and you're missing him for 6 weeks, and that's half the season. So it's just it's going to be a tough balance for them to find, but it's one that I think you look at what Andy Kotelnicki has done with some guys in the past, and it feels like they should be able to find a good balance.
Michael Swain covers Kansas Jayhawks for Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Become a VIP subscriber today to get access to all of Michael's outstanding Jayhawk info. You're going to want to be a VIP member as the world turns with regard to Tyron Stokes and possibly with Bill Self's decision as well. It's a great time to subscribe to Fog.net. Michael joins us every Tuesday for Jayhawk Weekly. It's always a pleasure, Michael. Thanks for the time.
Awesome. Sounds great. Talk to you guys next week.
That is Michael Swain. We'll take our break and come back with the wrap-up of this 4 o'clock hour. 580 Sports Talk next. 4:56 on 580 Sports Talk. Our thanks again to Michael Swain for joining us for Jayhawk Weekly. Always great stuff from Michael, getting into the full swing of spring football. Again, become a VIP subscriber over 24/7 Sports. Then not only do you get access to Michael's stuff at fog.net, you also get access to Tim Fitzgerald and the crew over at GoPowerCat.com, and basically any other college team you want to follow over at 24/7 Sports, you get access to their stuff. It's pretty great. Pretty great deal. 24/7 Sports. We'll have Fitz on with us tomorrow on the show. Talk about the early days of K-State's spring camp, what they've been up to, what the media has gotten to witness, and we'll certainly talk about the staff and the players that are beginning to take shape under new head men's basketball coach Casey Alexander. That's all coming up on tomorrow's edition of 580 Sports Talk. I got to go to opening day yesterday. I covered Royals baseball and enjoyed that very much. You're going to hear from Kris Bubic, some of his post-game comments. We're going to hear from him coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. We're going to talk about the automatic ball strike system, automated ball strike system. It's awesome. It's so good. It's electric in person. You wouldn't think so, but it is. And we got our 580 Sports Talk headlines as well. But I want to send somebody to tomorrow's game. I got 2 tickets for tomorrow night, Royals Twins. I'm going to give away to caller number 5 to 720-291-2654. 785-272-9429. I gave the wrong number. 785-272-9429. If you're caller number 5, you're going to the K. 2 tickets to the Royals tomorrow night. Come on back with us for this final hour of 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 3, 580 Sports Talk, our final hour on this Tuesday. Here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Dan Lucero with you. Been riding solo today. Thank you for joining me. Shout out to Brett, our ticket winner today. He's going to the K tomorrow night. Game 2 of 81. To see the Royals and the Twins. Hope the weather holds up for you, Brett. You get to see a ball game. If not, take the rain check. Go see another one. But we got more tickets that we'll give away throughout the year. We know everybody loves a day of the ball game. So, or the night of the ball game, as the case may be. So, appreciate everybody who called. We regret that there could only be one winner today. We do not regret that winner is Brett. We're happy for Brett. So congratulations, Brett, for winning the tickets. We'll have some more to give away as things go along this season, of course. No Royals tonight, though, so we've got no baseball, which means we are with you right until the end of this hour. And with one more hour left today, we're going to get to our 580 Sports Talk headlines. Plenty to get to in that department. Also, going to hear from Kris Bubic. He spoke at length to the media after his start yesterday for the Royals in their 3-1 win over the Twins. And when I say at length, I don't know that I have ever seen a baseball player hold court for as long as Bubic did after the game at the podium yesterday. And it's a testament to, I think, how thoughtful Bubic is. But he had a couple of, I thought, interesting things to say. So pulled some audio of that. You'll hear from Kris Bubic. 6 innings, a run on 2 hits, 4 strikeouts on a day in which he was the first to admit that he didn't have his best stuff. In fact, his words was, it didn't look, maybe didn't look great under the hood, which is an interesting way to think about it. Like, you know, might be rattling around under the hood, but did it get you from point A to point B? Did it get Kris Bubic through 6 innings with his team leading? Did it get him the win, his first of the year? It sure did. So I think Bubic is a really interesting guy. I mean, Stanford educated, so obviously there's something going on upstairs. Left-handed pitcher. I mean, come on, those are the smartest guys on any team. Let's be completely honest. The left-handed pitchers are the smartest guys on every baseball team. Everybody knows this. And I'm not just saying that because that's what I was in a past life. But I think he's a really interesting cat and obviously really thoughtful. And so we'll hear some of that audio. Also, I have to give you my in-person experience with the new ABS system that is now in place across Major League Baseball. The review system for balls and strikes that has been implemented this year. Long story short, I love it. And if you're at a game, I think you're going to love it too. I think it's one of those that might legitimately be best experienced in person at a game rather than just experiencing it on television or over the radio. So it's one of those, I think you might have to be there, but once you've been there to experience it, I think you're going to like it. So, because I do. I think it's terrific. And you know me, I have been historically not resistant to change, not entirely resistant. There's certainly been some changes that baseball's made over the years that I have been resistant to or have thought were not in the best interest of the game. But I'm all in on the ABS. Big thumbs up for me. I love it. I love it. And it has had the added bonus, as Vance points out in the live chat on YouTube, of absolutely putting a dunce cap on CB Buckner the other night in Cincinnati, where he had back-to-back calls overturned. He had like 6 different calls overturned. Bad night for CB. But look, if you're like a diehard baseball fan, if you watch a bunch of games like I do, you already knew CB Buckner sucked at his job. Now we have a way to ameliorate some of his ineptitude. We can cancel it out a little bit because the players know the strike zone better than CB Buckner. Because it kind of cuts both ways, really. And we'll get into more of this because I do want to talk about the in-person experience of it. But it does kind of cut both ways because the success rate for challenges has kind of been right in the middle, like kind of half and half, which it's hard to get it right. That's the whole point, right? That's the argument for full-time robot umpires, is that it's really hard to get it exactly right 100% of the time. But it's not as hard as CB Buckner makes it look. It's not as hard as he makes it look. Honest to goodness. And I think Ken Rosenthal made this same joke or a similar joke in a column at The Athletic today. You know who would be great to bring back? You imagine Angel Hernandez with the ABS? Oh, my goodness. Oh, that would be entertainment. That would be comedy. We got to get him out of retirement. Baseball got to rehire Angel, get him back in the game for the ABS possibilities there. But yeah, more on that coming up this hour. Your interaction in this final hour as well. Get at me in the live chat on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, the name of the channel. Also on our text line, 785-272-9429. That's 785-272-9429. But let's get to those headlines, shall we? I'm going to start with this one because we talked about it earlier in the show. If you missed it in the 3 o'clock hour, we had Shelia Sickau, who is the senior marketing manager of football development with the Kansas City Chiefs, join the program. Because the Chiefs, and Sheila in particular in her position, have been involved with KSHSAA exploring the possibility of adding girls flag football as a sanctioned championship sport in high schools across the state of Kansas. It's up for votes, up for discussion, and then a possible vote at the KSHSAA Board of Directors meeting coming up in April. And the Chiefs have really been at the vanguard of promoting flag football, not just for youth participation, but also now for girls' high school participation. They were involved in the pilot program that saw schools in Kansas City and Wichita and elsewhere, mostly on the eastern portion of the state, give the pilot program a go the last couple of years. So anyway, we had her on to talk about that. And we mentioned it during the conversation, but this news breaking earlier today, the Sports Business Journal had it first. The Big 12 is taking steps towards becoming the first FBS conference to sponsor women's flag football, beginning in 2028 with a minimum of 6 teams. The efforts, which remain in the exploratory phase, are being spearheaded by Commissioner Brett Yormark and Chief Football and Competition Officer Scott Draper from the conference side, along with an intimate assist from the NFL. We're trying to meet the moment, Draper told Sports Business Journal. Our goal here is growth. Our goal is to advance Big 12 membership opportunities and growth for the conference. We see this as an opportunity to do that. The Big 12 and the NFL had previously announced a partnership in December that was expected to include collaborations around technology, officiating, and flag football. The NCAA has already added flag football as an emerging sport. In January, men's and women's flag football will debut at the Summer Olympics in 2028 in Los Angeles. There are already 20 million flag football players worldwide, more than 4 million youth participants in the United States alone. It is offered at the high school level across 39 states, where participation has climbed 60% year over year. I'm all for the addition of opportunities in sports. I am all for it. I don't even have a caveat for that. Like there's not, I'm all for this, but like, no, I'm gung-ho about this. I think it's great. I think it's an outstanding opportunity for more girls to be involved in sports, for girls to be involved in football in a way that they maybe previously had not considered or not an avenue that had not been open to them. I think it's not the least bit surprising that the Big 12 would look to be the first mover on adding something like this from their perch, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it, as an FBS conference, for them to be the first of the FBS conferences to sponsor it. That doesn't surprise me. That seems like it fits hand in glove with the Big 12's desire to innovate and do new things and be the first to try new things. And has that always worked for the Big 12? No. Do we need to go back and talk about the glass court at the Big 12 basketball tournament? We'll never see that again. That happened during state basketball week, so we really didn't get a chance to explore the studio space with jokes about that stupid glass court and how funny it was that Brett Yormark was like, "Yeah, man, this is my bad. Let's junk it. Do we have another one we can put in for the semifinals of the men's tournament? Can we get another one in?" That was all very, very funny. So not everything the Big 12 has touched has turned to gold. Like the glass court was a disaster. Big 12 Mexico, any word on that? Like that really hasn't come to fruition. But there have been a lot of other areas where the Big 12 has, I think, innovated in really positive ways. And I think them being the first FBS football conference to the line with women's flag football, being able to sponsor that as a sport is a really cool deal. What I would be curious about is how scalable is that sport from a fan perspective? Like, what does that look like revenue-wise for a university? Is that the kind of thing you could put on ESPN Plus and people are going to watch? Is that the kind of thing you play and people turn up to watch it like they would turn up to a soccer match or they would turn up to a baseball game? Or because, like, you're obviously outside of football and men's basketball, you're not, unless there are special circumstances, you're not drawing sellout crowds to your venue most of the time. There are special circumstances where that's different for what we consider the non-revenue sports. We would certainly consider women's flag football a non-revenue sport. But what would fan support, community support, what would that look like? Like, I don't know, genuinely. And I'm fascinated to see how that particular seed germinates over time. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that the Big 12 would be first to the line. And there's going to be, I think, a broader announcement coming as the NFL continues to pair with flag football on a broader scale. And I don't think it's out of the question. Big picture. Like, this is, maybe this is a little bold, maybe it's a little spicy a prediction here. But I don't think it's out of the question because flag is a different game. If you don't believe me, go watch that footage of the current and former NFL players playing flag football against Team USA and getting beat down. Just totally unable to stay on the field with the flag football guys. It's a different game. It's a different skill set. It's a different body type, body frame that's successful. You can have, like, flag football can exist without the exclusion of American tackle football is what I'm saying. And what we know is tackle football. You can have one and the other. And I wonder if we do have both on a level where, now I am not suggesting that, well, you never know with the NFL, right? But I don't know, there's going to be like a summer flag football league and every club in the NFL has their own flag football team and you play during the summer at the NFL stadiums. And I don't know that you're doing like Sunday Night Football TV numbers for that, but are you maybe beating UFL TV numbers for NFL flag in the summer, professional flag in like 10 years? I would not be shocked. I really wouldn't. It's a popular game and it's different enough. It does not, I think that flag can thrive without the degradation of the tackle football that we are all hopelessly hooked on. I think you can have both. This is not one of those, well, one or the other. Nah, man, you can have beer and tacos. You can have tackle football and you can have flag football. I think they're different enough. I really do. And I think that the sport is having a moment, and I think that the NFL and the Big 12 and lots of other football conferences are recognizing that that growth potential. And Mark B asked, I think, a very fair question about what the addition of flag football in high school would do to participation in other sports. I do wonder about that. Like, you think about the other fall sports in the state of Kansas for girls. You have volleyball, you have cross country, and I know I'm forgetting some. I know this is not a comprehensive list. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. You have golf, you have tennis. I think that's it for girls. And so adding football, would it subtract from volleyball rosters? Would it subtract from golf? Would it subtract from tennis? Could you do both? Like, I don't know. There are some, like, a lot of smaller schools, you got kids who are four-sport kids because they play, like, baseball and they run track, because a lot of track meets are weekends. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm really interested to find out. I think this is going to be something that is really interesting to follow over the coming years. Next headline, let's talk about tackle football. We got some rule changes that have been approved by the competition committee at the owners' meetings in Phoenix this week. And two significant changes to the league's replay review system have been approved. One that is contingent on the NFL using replacement officials this season, and one that will take effect whether or not there is an officiating work stoppage. The first of Tuesday's approved changes will create a massive expansion of authority for staffers in the league's officiating command center in New York City, allowing them to consult with the on-field referee on a wide variety of called and uncalled penalties and other administrative procedures. The co-chairman of the competition committee, Rich McKay, said the league would reallocate existing game day employees to ensure appropriate staffing levels to cover each game if a work stoppage were to activate these particular rule changes. According to verbiage in the rules, staff members in New York could alert a replacement referee if they see clear or obvious evidence of an uncalled foul for roughing the passer, intentional grounding, or an act that would normally lead to disqualification. Those staff members would also be permitted to alert replacement referees that a flag shouldn't have been thrown. And the message here is very clear. Number one, we do not intend to bargain with the current officials anytime soon. Like, this is the NFL preparing not to have the refs for 2026. And number two, if we're going to have replacement refs, y'all are not going to embarrass us the way you did in 2012. Because that was an embarrassment to the league. How much was the league embarrassed by the replacement refs in 2012? When real refs came back in week, I think it was 4, they got standing ovations league-wide. We were so happy to see the real refs that we gave them standing ovations. So that's what that rule change is about. Like, we're going to hold your hand and make sure you don't embarrass us. You don't miss something that's so egregious that it's the lead story on SportsCenter for a week. So that would be one change to replay review. The other change, and this will come into effect whether or not there are replacement referees. For the first time, replay officials in New York will have the authority to both disqualify a player and direct that a penalty be enforced, even if on-field officials had not thrown a flag. Previously, owners have not wanted replay officials to throw a flag because they wanted to preserve that for the discretion of on-field officials. But McKay said it was amended when multiple coaches said there should be an on-field impact if the act is flagrant enough to merit disqualification. For example, and this was, I think, the example that Adam Schefter used on social, or maybe somebody else used it on social. I thought it was Schefter. I could be misattributing it here. But when DK Metcalf roughed up that fan in Detroit, setting aside whether that fan deserved it, he did. Setting that aside, DK Metcalf goes up to a fan and punches him in the face, and nothing happens. Metcalf finishes the game. And he gets suspended, but he got to finish that game. Well, if somebody sees that off camera, they can say, "Hey, we got to throw a flag on Pittsburgh's number 4 for acting the fool, and we got to kick him out of the game. Like that would now be legal for a non-football act. Other changes today, owners have approved a rule that closes the loophole that gave teams an incentive to kick the ball out of bounds when they were kicking off from midfield after a penalty. There was a loophole that made that like the smart play, and that loophole has been closed. There is also now a rule that allows teams to declare an onside kick at any point in a game. Previously, you had to be losing, and you had to declare your onside kick. And now, even if you're winning or tied, you can declare an onside kick, because teams, when they were going to kick off from the 50, at that point, you may as well like have the option to say, hey, yeah, we'll onside kick. Because, yeah, if we don't recover it, oh, well. If the other team takes over the 40-yard line, that's what would happen maybe anyway. But we may as well roll the dice and see if we can't get some possession here. Also, the rule change includes an approval of the expansion of mental health coverage to require each team to employ a full-time clinician or offer full-time coverage. There are 8 of the 32 teams that are already in compliance there. That is subject to approval by the NFLPA because it is part of the collective bargaining agreement. The policy will also provide more support for players on injured reserve. Mental health, what's the word? Mental health assets, mental health resources. That's what I'm looking for. Mental health resources being more available to players from their respective teams, much more in the spotlight following the deaths by suicide of both Cowboys defensive end Marshawn Kneeland and Vikings wide receiver Rondell Moore in the last calendar year. Next headline, we go to the Basketball Hall of Fame, class of 2026. We know a handful of the inductees, including Gonzaga head coach Mark Few. You know what's be really funny? Mark Few gets into the Basketball Hall of Fame, and his protege, Tommy Lloyd, is going to win a national championship before he does. That's a very real possibility, right? Like Lloyd in Arizona could win the Natty on Monday. Mark Few's going in the Hall of Fame without ever having won a national championship. Also confirmed as inductees in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame class of 2026, former WNBA MVPs and league champions Candace Parker and Elena Deladon, and current Milwaukee Bucks coach, former Boston Celtics head coach, and fine player in his day as well, Doc Rivers, and former NBA star Amari Stoudemire, played 14 years in the league, 2003 Rookie of the Year. One last headline. We have more news on Tiger Woods' DUI over the weekend. Tiger Woods has entered a plea of not guilty today to charges of misdemeanor DUI with property damage and refusal to submit to a lawful test. An attorney submitted the not guilty plea on his behalf. Woods also waived his arraignment hearing. The arrest affidavit was released earlier today by the Martin County Sheriff's Department. Woods reportedly told authorities he was looking down at his cell phone and changing the radio station in his Range Rover SUV, which caused him not to see a truck hauling a trailer slowing down. That led to a rollover accident involving Woods. In the arrest affidavit, it was written that Woods was sweating profusely and his movement was lethargic and slow while he was being interviewed by Martin County Sheriff's deputy. The tests of Woods' breath did not show signs of alcohol, but Woods refused to submit to a urinalysis or blood test for other drugs, according to the sheriff. This was, of course, Woods' 4th driving-related incident since 2009. 2 of them involved DUI charges. There was never a charge of DUI or any charges filed against Woods for the 2021 auto accident that very nearly led to the amputation of his right leg. And we kind of let that one slide a little bit because Tiger almost died in that car accident. And Tiger was never really held to account for that, never really forced to answer any questions. The only time he ever got asked questions about it, he said, well, it's in the police report. And that was not true. There was lots of detail that was not in the police report. But clearly this is the person, and we said this when the news broke at first, this is the person with a problem. This is the person who should not be driving. And so many people still want to root for Tiger Woods. because he has brought a lot of people so many thrills over the years with his performance on the golf course. And I think there are a lot of people that are still stuck on the notion that, like, if Tiger Woods could get back out there to the golf course, he could win another major. He could keep winning golf tournaments. He is 50 years old. The winning days are probably behind him. Almost certainly. At this point, what we got to be rooting for is for Tiger Woods to overcome what he is struggling with. And I thought that the golf podcast, No Laying Up, did a really good job over the weekend of juxtaposing the two big golf stories from the weekend. Because the other big golf story from the weekend was our guy, the pro sports franchise of Topeka, Kansas, Gary Woodland, winning the Houston Open for his first win on the PGA Tour since the 2019 U.S. Open, and his first win since the surgery to remove a lesion on his brain in 2023. That triumph for Gary Woodland over so much personal and physical difficulty coming not long after he had unburdened himself to Rex Hogger to the Golf Channel, an interview that aired during the Players' Championship, and explained that one of the effects of the brain surgery that Gary had was PTSD symptoms that he has experienced and had to deal with while on the golf course. Symptoms that have left him shaking and in tears and barely able to finish rounds of golf. Symptoms he was dealing with while playing last weekend in Houston. But his honesty about the things that he is dealing with and what he has to do to overcome those things has made a lot of people, not just us here in Topeka, who are really justifiably very proud of our hometown hero, and made a lot of fans of Gary Woodland. Because we see in him somebody who is going through something, who is being vulnerable, who is being honest, who is being open. And how can you not root for somebody who is a fighter and who can stand there victorious on the PGA Tour, dealing with everything he's dealing with, and say, don't give up, don't stop fighting? That's an easy guy to root for. And he'd be easy to root for even if he wasn't already one of the most solid dudes on the PGA Tour. One of the most liked and respected guys on the tour. And put that up against Tiger Woods, who is also obviously, and look, there are obviously vast differences between dealing with brain surgery and the after effects with dealing with what looks for all the world to be an addiction to painkillers. It's kind of one of those things that is still alleged, but you can kind of see the signs when it comes to Tiger Woods. So it's not apples to apples here. But the idea that Tiger's always just tried to power through it whenever we've seen him in public. Yeah, I'm solid. I'm good. And if Tiger Woods, who is the golf hero for so many, for a whole generation, the golf hero, if he would be open and honest and vulnerable, I'm fighting, I'm dealing with something, but I'm going to fight it and I'm going to beat it and I'm going to get through it. And I know I got to fight it every day, but I'm going to come through the other side of it. How powerful would it be coming from Tiger Woods to do that? Because we saw the power in Gary Woodland unburdening himself and saying, look, the world needs to know. And if I can help somebody else and maybe help myself in the process, then I've done a good thing. Wouldn't it be great if Tiger Woods could do the same? That'll do it for headlines. We ran a little long there, but that'll do it for headlines today. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Kris Bubic was the story in Kansas City's home opener win yesterday against the Twins. We'll hear a couple of clips from him speaking after his outing, and one of the reasons why I think that he is such a pivotal player for the Royals this season. That's coming up on 580 Sports Talk. 5:38 on 580 Sports Talk. Royals were winners yesterday at the K. 3-1 the final. Kris Bubic earned the win. 6 innings of 1-run ball despite a wobbly start, including giving up a home run to Matt Wallner in the second inning. That would be the last hit that Bubic would allow the rest of his outing. He would only allow 2 hits in total, walked 3, struck out 4. Bubic himself, after the game, admitted that it was not his best outing. I thought he had really interesting thoughts about how to succeed even if you don't have your best stuff. Here's Bubic from his post-game comments yesterday.
When you go into a game, like, you map it out beforehand, you visualize it beforehand, you always kind of want it to go perfectly, but at the end of the day, like, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Give up a solo home run in the second inning, scattered a few blocks, but whatever. Like, we'll be playing more starts down the road where it's similar to that, or go really well or go not so well. So just staying composed, knowing that, hey, I have enough in my arsenal to get around a certain command issue with the four-seamer. Hey, we're behind in counts. There's enough leeway I have to be able to get outs in different ways, whether it's through ground balls, through fly balls, or through strikeouts on a given day. So, never really panicking, never trying to go like, you don't want too many thoughts when you're out there, but understanding that, hey, you give up a homer or you walk a guy, like, it's not the end of the world. Just get to that. That's it.
And I love that answer from Bubic. First of all, the idea of not letting perfect be the enemy of good, that's something in my own life that I kind of try to apply to myself. Like I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and sometimes, you can't let perfect be the enemy of good. Sometimes good is good enough. And when you're pitching, when that's your craft and you're striving for literal perfection, like that's the ultimate in your craft, is to have a perfect game, right? Like that's one of the rarest feats in baseball. But you're pursuing that perfection every pitch. You want to throw it through the eye of a needle to the exact spot and make it spin, make it dance, make it bend, to do all the things that you do. And some days you just can't. Some days you cannot find it. You cannot get calibrated. You feel like you're fighting it. And for Bubic to have that self-awareness of, hey, I've got enough good pitches, I've got enough different ways I can get guys out, that if my game plan has to deviate, if I've got this idea of how I'm going to attack these hitters and, I can't do it the way I plan to do it, I've got a good enough plan B. I've got a good enough plan C. I've got a wide enough arsenal. I can throw more changeups. I can throw more sinkers. The sinker was a really effective pitch for him yesterday, where that's not one that we'd typically throw a ton in a game, and not as much as his four-seam fastball. Just his self-awareness as a pitcher is really impressive. And I think that does two things for Bubic. One, I think it gives him a chance to pitch deep into games and be competitive even without his best stuff, because the old cliche is you've only really got your best stuff about a third of the time anyway. Like your absolute A-plus stuff. You only have that about a third of the time you're on the mound in the first place. So it speaks to his ability as a grinder, certainly, but I think it also gives him a chance to maintain his health as this season goes along. And that's going to be really important for both Bubic and the Royals, that he makes as many starts as possible. He made 22 starts last year. They were at an all-star level. The Royals could have used 10 more starts from Kris Bubic. They get 10 more starts from him and not from, and like, not to diminish the job that guys like Bailey Falter or Stephen Kolek or Ryan Berger are capable of. But if we get 10 more all-star level Kris Bubic starts last year, is that the difference between the Royals making the playoffs and not? It might have been. So having that level of self-awareness on the mound, I think, also gives Bubic an understanding of when to overdrive it, when not to, and how to best take care of himself as he goes through the season, which is something else that he talked about with the media as well. So I was really fascinated to listen to Bubic talk. Like, I could have listened. I wish we could have had 10 more minutes with him. I had lots more questions, like real granular stuff I wanted to ask. And the open press conference is not really the forum for that kind of stuff. And Bubic had already been generous enough with his time. But I would have been fascinated to bend his ear about, all right, well, how did you land on the sinker as the pitch? Or like, what about the home run? Because he gives up the home run to Wallner, and then he gets back-to-back ground outs, like lightly hit ground balls to Bobby Witt Jr. Then he gets a strikeout. He's out of the second inning, and he doesn't allow another hit after that. Like, what about the home run? Like, what's going on in your head as Wallner's rounding the bases after he hits one to the moon, ball into the fountains on a hanging sweeper? Like, what was the reset? How did you mentally reset and get back right from that point? Or was it anything that reset? Was it just like, yeah, I'm trying to survive here, and thank God I got these ground balls? A really interesting cat, Kris Bubic, one of my favorites on the team. And that was the first. I have never been in a baseball press setting where a player has spoken for that long. Like, they brought Kyle Isbel after the podium. He was in and out in 3 minutes. And it was probably the same number of questions, but Kyle Isbel, this is not me calling him a dummy by any means, but Kyle Isbel's pretty direct with his answers. You know, he tells you exactly how he feels, and he gets right to the quick of his answer. I think that there's a little bit more introspection. Pitchers are always more thoughtful than position players. They're smarter. If pitchers were dumb, they'd be hitters. I used to say that. That's, again, not just because I was a pitcher in a former life. Anyway, let's take a break. We'll come back. The automated ball strike system is here to stay in Major League Baseball, and you have to experience it to really get why it's so great. I'll tell you why next on 580 Sports Talk. Back on 580 Sports Talk. I can't take the credit for manifesting this, but this just in from Tiger Woods, who again pled not guilty earlier today to a DUI charge. A statement from Tiger, quote, "I know and understand the seriousness of the situation I find myself in today. I'm stepping away for a period of time to seek treatment and focus on my health. This is necessary in order for me to prioritize my well-being and work toward lasting recovery. I'm committed to taking the time needed to return in a healthier, stronger, and more focused place, both personally and professionally. I appreciate your understanding and support and ask for privacy for my family, loved ones, and myself at this time." Well, good for Tiger for taking the first step. That's just not really like putting a name on the treatment that he is seeking or the problem that he might have that would necessitate treatment, but it's a step. And hopefully it's a positive one and the first of many for Tiger to come. Because, look, there are a lot of people out there who love that guy. A lot of people who he means a lot to. And I know some of my formative sports memories and some of the reasons that I enjoy golf as much as I do are down to him. And when you root for an athlete, you root for them sometimes after their playing careers are done and root for him to get things straightened out. And I think that's what we're rooting for. Those of us who are Tiger Woods fans to this day, I don't care if he wins I don't care if he ever plays another golf tournament. I really don't. He's got 2 kids, man. Like, I want him to have a good life, be a good dad, and be present and be happy, and be the guy that when he's 70 is out there as one of the starters at Augusta. I want to see him in his 70s and 80s, like we see Gary Player and Jack Nicklaus today hitting the ceremonial first drive at Augusta. That's what I want for him. I don't care if he ever plays again. But that statement just now from Tiger Woods. So Major League Baseball this year instituted the automated balls and strikes challenge system. And the way it works, you haven't gotten into baseball yet, haven't seen it in application. Each team gets 2 challenges per game. If you're right, you get to keep your challenge. Challenges can be initiated by anybody on the field. So the batter or the catcher or the pitcher, but they have to be initiated in a pretty short amount of time. You can't wait. You can't pause a beat and then go, okay, yeah, I want to challenge. You got to challenge right away. You got to be very decisive about your challenge. There have already been some disputes about teams maybe taking a little bit too long to challenge. Matt Quatraro thought that the Twins took too long to challenge a pitch yesterday, and then the pitch ended up being, the Twins challenge ended up being incorrect. They did not get the call overturned. The call stood. I saw the ABS system in a minor league game in 2023 in the Florida State League. I was in Clearwater. That league was toying with the idea of the automated balls and strikes. There was no scoreboard element to it. You didn't see like the pitch come up on the big board or anything like that. It was just the hitter challenged. The umpire got like a signal, like a beep if it was a ball, 2 beeps if it was a strike or whatever. Whether the call was stands or the call overturned, they'd make the signal and the game would continue. Incorporating the visual element of watching the pitch come in and seeing it either light up the strike zone pink or not, depending on what you want the outcome to be as the crowd, it is exhilarating, man. It is great stuff. It is legitimately entertaining. It plays great in front of crowds. When we mentioned this at the top of the hour, when C.B. Buckner was having himself a tough night in Cincinnati, and Eugenio Suarez challenged back-to-back pitches and was right both times, the crowd at Great American Ballpark was going nuts. And yesterday, when Michael Garcia challenged a 2-1 pitch and very emphatically and very quickly challenged it, he knew he was right. And he was. And the crowd cheered. And then instead of a 2-2 count, he's ahead in the count. He gets a 3-run fastball. He rips it for a double. The system is in its early days. Teams are going to figure out how aggressive they can be with challenges, when the highest value times to use the challenges are. I don't think you want to end games with any in your pocket. Like, there are some you may as well use. Like, this is a good time. You may as well just try and see if maybe the umpire was wrong. But I'll tell you what, it is best experienced in person. When you know the challenge is coming, you see that tap of the head. That's the signal that the catcher, the batter, or the pitcher has to give, is that tap of the head. And the umpire turns around and says, challenge to the call, pitch was called a ball or strike. And then you see that visual element on the scoreboard, and everybody's watching with that tension to see if that strike zone lights up or not. And then you get the crowd reaction to it. It's great. It's great. It's not obtrusive. It takes 15 seconds. Doesn't add time to the game, like meaningful time to the game. I am all for it. I think it's fabulous. And I think it's probably the fairest balance between the human element, which I think we all still appreciate the human element of the umpire calling balls and strikes, but also a little bit of an electronic assist is nice to have too. I don't know that I would want full robot umpires, even if the strike zone is in the rule book. And so, if the strike zone is in the rule book, just like safe out is in the rule book, you got to call the strike zone like you would call safe and out. It's a strike or it's not. It's safe or it's out. But if you want to have the best mix between the human element and the assistance of the robots, then I think we've landed on a really good system, and it plays great in person. Like, go to a game this summer, and when you experience one in person, you're gonna get it, and you're gonna love it. I think it's a great addition. We'll take one last time out. We'll come back. We will wrap up this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Final word for me on this Tuesday. 4 games down, 158 to go for the Kansas City Royals. And you can't trust everything we've seen so far this year. It's such a small sample size that, as Andrew, I believe it was, in the live comments on YouTube today pointed out, Kyle Isbel has more home runs this season than Shohei Ohtani. Okay? That's how early we are in this. There's still a lot of baseball left to be played. But I think through 4 games, we have already seen 2 things that I think are really positive for the Royals. Number one, this starting pitching staff picking up where it's left off over the last 2 years, being the tone setters for this team, passing the baton to one guy after the next, getting depth, getting quality work. I think this has a chance to be one of the very best pitching rotations in baseball, and they've come off the mark in really fine form. And secondly, even though there's some long-term concern, short and long-term concern, about Carlos Estevez's effectiveness, I don't think that's going to hurt the Royals bullpen in the long haul, because I think they have enough depth, they have enough power, they have enough ninth inning experience. They have minor league depth that they can call up, guys with options who can come up and I think positively impact the big league bullpen. I think they're going to be just fine. Hopefully, Carlos Estevez does find his fastball, and he's a big part of that bullpen mix. But even if he's not, the Royals can survive that. We're back tomorrow from 3 until 6. My name is Dan Lucero, and this was 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for listening, everybody. Good night.